everyone, welcome back to the Racing America channel. And today we're chatting with the 2023 NASCAR Cup Series champ, Ryan Blaney. Ryan, great to see you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
It's great to see you. And talking about just the 12 team this year, you guys have really started to hit your stride back to back, top three finishes. What would you say you contribute to that success? And, where do you feel that turnaround came from for this group?
Yeah, it's kind of been a scrappy year, I guess, for our group, and I've been really happy with how we've been performing as a team. Just kind of some bad breaks, a couple blown ups, blown engines, getting in a couple wrecks. Have a more DNFs than I would personally like to have. I think we have 4 DNFs this year, but we're still fifth in points, which is, I think, just shows how good we've been. And we've been, like you said, the last couple weeks have been smooth. Didn't have a great Talladega, but a couple races before that, I thought we were really good. And so I'm really happy with how we've been performing. And hopefully, the smooth races continue to just keep happening and kind of controlling things that we can control. So it's been a good year so far. Really hope we can get into victory lane soon. Been chomping at the bit at it, and just we've been in contention, and that's all you can do, right? Kind of keep running up towards the front, and you hope it goes your way. So we'll see. We'll keep at it.
I know there's a few good tracks coming up for you on the schedule, obviously, being a former 600 winner, but I want to talk about some news off the track real quick. You officially joined the ownership group at Sharon Speedway alongside your dad. And, this track has meant so much to your family, your grandfather, your dad. What does it mean for you to join this on the business side and continue that family legacy?
Yeah, well, really excited that it finally got done and put out there. Dad's owned that place since I think '02. Been part owner in it, and he was a third owner. One third of an owner with two guys that he kind of grew up with in that area that knew my family really well, knew my grandfather, and it was just kind of getting time where they wanted to step away. And when Dad told me about the opportunity a couple months ago, I just was over the moon. I couldn't wait to try to get in there and become part owner with Dad, and just an opportunity that I couldn't let pass up. And so it's really neat to be partners with Dad. Another great guy who's in it too, Will Thomas, who Dad grew up with in that area, who's a really, really great person and wants that Speedway to do well, just like he and I. So just family ties. I grew up around that place. My dad and uncle and grandparents grew up, 5 miles down the road from Sharon. It just means a lot. I remember I used to sell programs and would answer phones for ticket sales, even though I didn't know what I was doing. I just hand the phone off to my mom, like, someone wants to buy tickets. But I always wanted to answer the phone, and just trying to keep short track racing healthy. So now it turns to, okay, what can we do now? What's the next steps for this place? How can we make the fan experience even better? How can we make the racing side for the locals who come out and the bigger shows even better? Whether that's raising purses, trying to get a little bit more activities to do around the racetrack for fans. So it's fun. It's cool. I would never own any other speedway than that, just because Sharon has a close place in my heart, and it's going to be a fun adventure with my dad.
And I think about all these memories that you must have at the Speedway, talking about the memories with your dad. Is there anyone in particular that sticks out to you, like memories of Victory Lane with your dad, anything like that?
Yeah, there's a few fond ones that I have. I mean, I have a lot of great memories, but I think the ones that stick out to me, the first year that he won my grandpa's race, the Lou Blaney Memorial, that was probably 2016. I remember I was able to be there in Victory Lane with him, so that was really special. I remember a lot of, even when my grandfather wasn't racing and I was younger, he'd work the gate, for cars to get in and off the track, and I just always remember watching him from the stands where I was, opening and closing the gate, and just wanted to be a part of it. And then I think my most recent fond memory there was being able to run that SRX race with Dad. That was super cool, and was happy to get that chance as well, because I didn't really get to race a lot with my dad over the years, and didn't know if I was ever going to have a chance again. And was happy that we were able to make that possible and run around each other. So those are probably the top 3 on my list of memories at that place.
You mentioned running in that SRX race, and I'm curious now, as a part of the ownership group of that track, do you plan to run any races maybe sometime this year at Sharon, maybe?
Well, I'd sure like to. I don't know if the possibility is going to be there. it was really gracious for Penske to let me go do that SRX race. I appreciate them for letting me do it. And I understand, there's kind of the policy there of, they're cautious on letting me go do stuff, which is understandable for sure from their side. And so you never know. I am planning on getting it up there just as a spectator, a couple times this year, which will be fun. But I don't know. Maybe in the future, can plan to race a little bit, but nothing in the immediate future. But I am going to be up there this year a good bit.
Mentioning obviously your job full time in the Cup Series, how does that change your day to day now with the ownership role that you've taken on? Does it change that much?
Yeah, a little bit. Trying to be as hands on as we can. It's tough being in North Carolina, having the job that I got. But at the same time, we have great people up there that really can be hands-on on a day-to-day basis. And really, I think our role is just kind of ideas and figuring out where's the next steps going, and communicating with the folks up there. Will Thomas, who's, part owner with us, he's there and he's hands-on every single day. And, so I think just being in the loop there and trying to come up with that stuff is the best I can do for now. But when I can really get up there and kind of I know the place like the back of my hand, but like when we can all brainstorm at the racetrack and be like, hey, we should do this here, or we should do that here on the grounds. And then let's come up with some scheduling things. And like I said earlier, what can we do for the fans? What can we do for the local racers that come there every week? And then the big shows, when the Outlaws come there and the All-Stars come. And it's kind of just all the brainstorming stuff right now. And hopefully that role grows even more as we kind of get our feet wet in it.
And I've seen drivers like Kevin Harvick. We've all seen drivers like Kevin Harvick and Dale Jr. really invest in the short tracks. And of course, you're doing the same now. Can you talk a little bit more about how important that development stage at the grassroots level has been to shaping your career and how you hope to kind of, put that longevity into grassroots racing through this ownership role?
Well, that's where it all comes from. Every single person that, whether you're NASCAR, IndyCar, F1, sports cars, like everyone comes from a certain grassroots level. Not even drivers. Mechanics and crew chiefs and engineers. They had a role in that stuff in their childhood and in their youth, and that's where they kind of got going, and that's how they fell in love with the sport of racing. So it's really, really healthy because without the grassroots level, there is no NASCAR, there is no IndyCar, nothing like that. So trying to keep that, in a good spot is really important. And like you said, with Kevin and Dale, really doing a great job with that. I think it's just part of it. It's just part of trying to keep that side as healthy as it can be and kind of try to do the best to shape, who's the next person that's going to be in NASCAR in 10, 15, 20 years, and this is kind of where it starts. And you just want that stuff to do well because a lot of people helped you out when I was younger at that level, and you try to pay it back. I'm fortunate enough to be able to try to make an impact on that side, and you just hope to help it for the future generations.
Speaking of the grassroots level, let's talk kind of about North Wilkesboro coming up this weekend. First question is, Cars Tour is going to be racing there. We got some modified racing. Will you be able to kind of maybe enjoy the Cars Tour race as a fan, maybe?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm excited that the modifieds are with us that weekend in the Cars Tour. We just got talking about, Kevin and Dale and what they've done with the Cars Tour has been unbelievable, I think. And seeing that, because I grew up a late model racer. I ran the Pass series, which was a super late model series, but just to see asphalt late model racing healthy and really, really good competition in that is really good. I like to just be a fan. Like I'm a fan of all types of motorsports, no matter what it is. I enjoy seeing it because I know how hard it is at no matter what level. It's difficult and to be good and to win races and run up front. And I think it's great that it's packed, with mods, late models, trucks, cup cars, like that weekend. It should be that way at that place. And I fully intend on being a fan for a couple of those races, which, all three of them really I will be, but I love the grassroots stuff and we'll definitely be there cheering people on.
for the Cup race, talking about the complexities that are involved in this year's All-Star race with maybe a promoter's caution and things like that. How do you go about approaching this one? Also considering that you are an All-Star race winner from Texas, a little different than that, but how do you go about kind of approaching this one?
Yeah, probably send Marcus Smith a gift, like a bottle of wine or something this week, uh, to be on his good graces.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I think the All Star format. You have so much leash with that race because right, it is an exhibition All Star race, and you can come up with some funky ideas or whatever you want. So that's really what it is. It's what wacky ideas can we do and things like that. So I mean, hey, I love it. I mean, it's a cool event. I love how we've gone to Wilkesboro here the last couple of years. This will be the third year at that racetrack for the All Star race, and I just think it's really healthy for that community. People love when we come up there, and they're just motorsports enthusiasts, and I know they loved us, revitalizing North Wilkesboro because they haven't had that, in a couple decades, and so yeah, I'm excited for this weekend. We had a great run there last year, and it's always fun to race for a bunch of money. Like that's always neat, and no points involved and things like that. And last year it got very exciting in the pits
Oh, yes.
with the guys. So I'm sure you're going to have something like that again this year. Just that's just the way the racing is, and I think people will just understand it. Like, oh, it's the All Star race. You're going for a big bunch of money, and it's kind of no hard feelings type thing. I mean, I guess maybe that had some hard feelings about it
Yeah.
with a couple of those guys, but that's the beauty of that race. And yeah, the format is, and I like how we really put a spotlight on the pit crews. They're under the spotlight every week, but here it's like a dedicated. They have such a huge role in your starting position, and those guys deserve it. So it's fun. I enjoy the weekends, and hopefully we can have a good run and contend like I hope we can.
And last but not least, going back to Sharon Speedway for a second, what events can fans look forward to at the track this year? What are you looking forward to?
Yeah, well, they just got kicked off last weekend. They get a late start to the year because it's funny when you get these northern racetracks, that don't start till May, just as with the weather permitting. But so it's nice that it's up and rolling. Their weekly shows, they have weekly shows there every week, and then World of Outlaws will go there. All Stars will go there. Obviously, the Lou Blaney night is a big one. They have a really big modified race there. I think in June after Nashville. So, or maybe it's after Michigan. But yeah, there's a couple big. I'm going to try to make it to that modified race. I think I can. It's on a Monday night.
Nice.
I think it's the 11th. So yeah, there's some big events up there, and it puts on a great race. I think it's. I mean, I'm biased, obviously, but I feel like that's one of the best racetracks in that part of the country. And so yeah, there's a couple really big shows.
Being from Ohio, I can attest to that. I would say maybe a little biased for myself as well, but definitely can attest to
I
that for
appreciate
sure.
that. Good.
Of course, of
Good.
course. Well, Ryan, it's been so nice talking to you and wishing you all the best at North Wilkesboro.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Taylor, for having me.